The first HX Stomp looper setup video that I put out got more views and comments than I ever imagined it would get, so thank you so much for watching. I found the HX Stomp to be the perfect size for travel. You can put it onto a small pedal board, which you can throw into your suitcase, or you could even throw it into your backpack if you're traveling super light. And although the size is a great selling point for me, it can be quite challenging to get the most out of this pedal, especially when you only have 3 foot switches to work with. So for the new setup, which we can call like Looper 2.0, whatever you want to call it, we're going to add an additional piece of gear. It's going to be the Ampero Switch. I don't know if it's going to focus on this, but let's give it a try. There we go. So we're going to be using the Ampero Switch, and basically all this does is it provides you with an additional 2 foot switches, which is going to be FS4 and FS5, and that's going to link on the back of your HX Stomp in inputs FS4 and 5. So there are a couple different ways you can set this up. For what I needed it to do, I would use the Ampero Switch for controlling an overdrive pedal and a delay pedal. Delay, mostly because I didn't want to record a delay effect when I was laying down a bass line, for example. So I was able to take that off, put the bass line, then when I wanted to take a solo, I could throw on that delay for that nice sweet tone. So another way you can set this up, which actually answers hopefully a question or an issue that a lot of people had in the previous video where they couldn't bank up and down their presets. So you can actually use one of these to control your preset. So if you wanted to say have a set where you play just with a looper setup and you can do some loops, and then you have to play with a band where you need different sounds, then you can use this to bank up and down your presets. You could also do snapshots, but then you would only have 2 snapshots in this case, rather than the 3 that the HX Stomp provides. And actually there is a third version that I discovered while I was putting this video together, and I'll leave it for the end of the video, but it makes the HX Stomp more looper focused, and then the additional 2 foot switches allow you to do other stuff as well. But I'll leave it there. I know it's very vague, but we'll leave it till the end of the video. There will be timestamps in the description, so if you want to jump around, feel free to do so. So we'll go through the first version of this looper setup using the Ampero Switch as a pedal control. So you'll be able to control overdrive pedals, effect pedals, whatever you want. I'll show you what I do, and then you can adjust it to whatever your needs are. Once we go through that, then I'll show you the second setup where we'll be using the Ampero Switch to bank up and down presets. Small little tweak in the settings, it won't take you long to adjust that. And then the third one I'll leave till the end, or if you're impatient like I am, just jump to the timestamp. To save us some time, I'm not going to walk through the entire chain. I'll just take what we had from the original looper setup, which you can download. Somewhere here there'll be a link where you can go get that first setup if you want to follow along, and that way we can just focus on adding any additional pedals that we want and just going through the settings. So let's get started. First things first, let's grab our HX Stomp and your additional 2 foot switches. By the way, if you do want to get the Ampero Switch, I will leave a link in the description down below. Super affordable off Amazon, but there are other companies out there that make similar things. Basically, you just want to get something with 2 additional foot switches. That's it. So now we'll go over the first setup where the Ampero Switch is actually helping us control some additional pedals. If we have a quick look through this, you can see that I have the octaver as the previous setup. I've now added a tube screamer type pedal. I have my Princess amp like I did in the previous setup, the delay, a reverb, and then at the very end of the chain I've got my looper. So the way we had it set up in the first one is the first foot switch controls the octave, and I'm going to leave it as is. Now I want to make sure that I can control the overdrive with foot switch 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my settings. I'm going to push down on page left and right. I'm going to scroll over to global settings, click on that, and you can see where it says Stomp 4, or actually it says FS4 function, and then on the next page it says FS5 function. I want to make sure that those are set to Stomp 4. So usually it might be tap tuner or bank up or bank down, but we're going to set it to stomp 4, and the same for FS5 will be stomp 5. That means that we can now assign these as foot switches to control pedals. So then we go back to our main view. You want to make sure that you are at the pedal view so you can see your chain here, and then you're going to select the overdrive. So I've scrolled over to Tube Screamer or Screamer 808, and we're going to hit the menu bar again, and you're going to see where it says bypass assign. You're going to click on that, and you're going to make sure that the switch, usually it's set to none, but we're going to scroll over and go to foot switch 4 and make sure that the type is set to latching. And then we're going to save that. So hit save. There we go. And then we're going to do, actually let's test that. So if I do this, it switches the Tube Screamer on and off. We're going to do the same thing for the delay pedal. So I'm going to scroll over to the delay pedal. Remember, you select the menu, go to bypass assign. I've already set it to foot switch 5, but usually it'll be set to none. And then you scroll over, make sure it's set to foot switch 5. Hit save again, just to make sure that you keep track of your progress. And now if I click on this, it activates and deactivates the delay. The cool thing with this is actually you can assign it to control 2 pedals at the same time. So that means that I could go over to my reverb, do the same thing, hit bypass assign, go over to foot switch 5, save. And now let's make sure that that's deactivated. But then if I click on foot switch 5, it activates and deactivates both the delay and the reverb, which is a great thing for me because when I'm recording bass and I want to have the octave on, I can then switch off my delays and reverbs. I could also assign the foot switch 1 to control all 3 pedals, where whenever I activate the octave pedal, it will deactivate the reverb and delay. So that's something you could do as well. So it's as simple as that to control additional pedals using the Ampero Switch or any other additional 2 foot switch pedals that you can get out there. Now, if you're not too precious about controlling the sounds of your looper setup, like if you're fixed on, like, let's say having an overdrive sound and you control the volume using your guitar volume pot, then you can change the Ampero Switch to bank up and down your presets. In order to do that, we need to change the function of the additional 2 foot switches. We go into our menu. We're going to scroll over to global settings, select that. And now these foot switch functions, we're going to change to not bank up, bank down. We want preset up for the first foot switch. And then for foot switch 5, we're going to do preset down. And we're going to hit save. Hit save. And now if we go into this, also make sure if you're doing this the way I'm doing it, make sure to go back into your bypass assign for each pedal that we changed before and switch it back to none. Save your progress always. Scroll over to the delay and reverb. We'll get rid of those. Bypass assign. Goodbye. Save. And then we did the same for the reverb. Bypass assign. Goodbye. Save. There we go. And we can activate those pedals just so we have them on. Let's switch that off. There you go. And then we can have the overdrive on as well. So now that we've got that set up, when I push down on the Ampero Switch, it toggles through my presets. So that's going down. You can see it goes 1C, then it goes 2A, 2B, and then if I go back down, 2A, 1C. Super easy. Now, the key thing with this is making sure that whatever chain you have for your looper setup is exactly what you need. You don't have to activate and deactivate any other pedals. You can use the FS1 to control maybe overdrive if you don't want to use a bass sound, or any other pedal, effects maybe. So at least you free up 1 foot switch to control some additional sounds. Now for the bonus setup, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the octave pedal on foot switch 4, and we're actually going to add an additional looper control, something that I think a lot of you out there were asking for, and this is the best solution that I could come up with, and that's the undo button. So first things first, let's get rid of the octave pedal on that foot switch 1. So we go into our menu, bypass the sign, get rid of that, and now it's free. Save again. So now, we also have to do it from our overdrive pedal. Bypass the sign, save. There we go. So now it's not controlling anything. The next thing you want to do, you want to go into your menu, to your command center, and you want to scroll over to foot switch 1. And now under the command knob, you're going to change it to the very last one where it's looper. And we're going to set the behavior to press and release. That's standard. And then for the press, we want to scroll over to undo. Did I pass it? There it is. And now that's going to be our undo button. So if you make a mistake during your looping setup, you can hit that undo button and you're all set to go. So let's hit save. And now we've got the undo button. If I go back to my main view, undo on the foot switch 1, foot switch 2 is record, and then the play and stop is on foot switch 3, which is very similar to the previous setup, but all we've done now is we've assigned the undo button to foot switch 1. This version of the setup gives you full control over the looper pedal, and you can keep the Ampero Switch as your preset banking, or you can mix and match and you can combine the, let's say, the first version that we did where you can assign different pedals to be controlled by your Ampero Switch, and then your HX Stomp could just control your looper setup. There you have it. That's an additional 3 looper setups that you can use with the HX Stomp, plus the help of 2 additional foot switches like the Ampero Switch. If you want to download the presets, they will be available on my Gumroad page, so make sure to check the links in the description. And I would also recommend you download the previous setup, which I'll link again in the description and somewhere on the screen as well, so you can sort of build off that if you want to kind of mix and match your different settings. If you also have an additional 2 foot switches available to you on your setup, let me know in the comment section down below how you use them with the HX Stomp and what functions you like to control. I'd love to hear it. I'd love some inspiration, see what else I can do with this. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.